Hey guys, what's happening? Just give me a second here. I'm not doing a normal live stream today, so I have to kind of go live without that goofy intro I always use, so I can just get right to it. Just want to say hello to everyone. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be interesting. Alright, so let me double check my OBS. Looks like, yeah, my screen is up there for the Helix. Yeah, so bear with me a little bit today. I literally, like I said in my last video, the one I did about the update, like I haven't touched my Helix in several months, or the software for that matter, and probably longer. So there might be a couple little hiccups today with the software, but I'll get through it best I can. I kind of like the fact that I haven't touched it, because this gives me a chance to show how, you know, intuitive the software really is. It's actually very intuitive. So I'll be kind of reacclimating to it while we're live here, and this is going to be fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a preset with 3 snapshots, and the first snapshot is going to be a really good crunch tone, and the second one's going to be what I call like big crunch. It's got the wet kind of, you know, version of that. It's got some delay and some, you know, a little bit of chorus on it to open things up for big chords, big chorus parts of the song where you go into something you just want to make a statement and have some more dynamics while you're on stage or in a recording. And then the third preset will be my lead preset. So it'll be pretty straightforward. I'll have some effects in there. I'll be definitely using the new amp, which is the PV Invective. I'll be using the lead channel, which has more bite, and I like that better, so I'll be using that for all of the tones today. And I'll also be using the new Plumes pedal and the new cabs, and we'll mess around with some different cabs and mics and stuff until we find something that's kick-ass. And I'll use the new 4-voice chorus and some other various pedals to kind of enhance things or gate things or whatever, but it's going to be pretty simple. I've actually had a lot of requests over the last several weeks, especially people asking me to do a preset video, and I've never done one. And it's weird because I thought that, you know, this has been done like 1,000 times on YouTube, but I've never done one, and the reason why I haven't is because of that. Like, well, gosh, I don't want to bore everybody with, you know, with, oh, here's Jarrod's version. But then again, I've gotten requests, and everybody does do things differently. And if you walk away from this video with just one tip that would help you enhance the sound of your Helix, then it was worth it, because that one thing a lot of times really makes a big difference for us. So hopefully I'll give you more than one thing today. But I'll do my best. Looks like we got 12 people here so far. Thanks again for joining me. Let me say hello real quick, and we'll get right to it. Acoustic, Kelly Jackson, Daryl McMillan. Hey, Guarv, what's happening, man? Haven't seen you in a bit. Good seeing you. You're doing really good in your band on Facebook. I keep following you there, and I just saw your photo shoot. That's freaking badass, dude. I love it. So you want to hear the Cali V, or the Cali 4 with cab settings, and hear your thoughts. I'll see if I can do that today. I have to go to work in a little bit, but if I can accommodate you, I will. Feel free to remind me later in the video. To be honest with you, I wasn't a big fan of that amp model in this in the Helix. For some reason, it didn't gel well with me, but if I have time, I can mess around with that later, hopefully. I do have to go to work in a little bit here, so I just want to do a quick video before I do that, so I'm going to get right to it in a minute. Develop Device Studio, what's going on? Derek Samp, what's happening? Good to see some local support here. Wise Guy, what's up, playa? You're welcome, Guarf. I'll see what I can do, man. Like I said, I'll do what I can. Please share this, and let's see if we can get a bunch of people in here today. Man, my cord for my guitar is stretched to the max. Hopefully I don't step on this. Oh, and what I'm going to do afterwards, after I get everything dialed in, I'm going to play a couple mixes for you. I'll go back into the chair and switch to the camera and, you know, get that going for you. And let's just test everything out in a mix. All right, so let's get started. Let's go ahead and start in the middle. Let's go with amp, not amp and cab. We're going to go with the new PV. Took me a while to find this yesterday because I was looking for V, not P. So the Vermin or whatever, Verminous There it is, Vitriol, that's right. I was looking for V's, not P's. So let's go with the Vitriol Lead. And I'm listening to everything with my KZ-AS10 in-ears, with my Shure PSM 300 system. So that's how I'm monitoring everything right now. Okay, so we picked that amp. Now let's go to, gosh, why am I so nervous? I feel nervous right now because I'm dialing in something, and it's kind of scary when you're doing this live. I would go a dual because, I mean, 2 speakers are always better than 1, especially if you can get 2 different kinds. Let's go with the 4x12 Cali V30s. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, you know. And for this one over here, I think I liked the Uber V30s. Let's just try that. And we're going to, well, let's see what we have. All right, right out of the box, we have something that definitely has hope. I'm definitely not saying this is a usable tone yet, but let's go ahead and make this usable. First, let's pick, let's go to our Cali V30 and pick a better mic. I'm going to go with, let's go with the 121 on this one, and it's as close as I can get it. You can go off axis or 0 degree with a ribbon like a 121. You want to be on axis. That's my opinion, anyways. So I'm not going to do any cuts or anything unless I have to in this video. I like to leave things raw and just see what I can get. So let's go over to this speaker. Let's try the FET. Why not? You know. Let's also try putting it in the sweet spot, which is the cap edge. Do I have that here on the Royer? Yeah. I love how they label it cap edge so you can find the sweet spot, or at least a good starting point early. Okay, so that's nice. Let me try this out. Let me mute the mic so you can hear the string clack. All right, that sounds, like I said, it's okay. It's kind of dull, but we're going to spice this up here a little bit. Let's get the volume up to where it's supposed to be. I think it was it 8? And then I'm just trying to remember my settings so I can have a proper, you know, a proper level for you guys. Let's go with the pre-gain here. See what we got. Okay, well, before we dial in the amp anymore, let's add all of our stuff here. Go ahead and add the Plumes overdrive. I know I'm going to need that anyways. Pillars, okay. And let's add our noise gate. There we go, no more hiss. Let's move this down here. And let's just see where we're at. Alright, so let's go back to the... Alright, so we're going to turn the gain down to... There's an old trick, about 1.4, 1.5, because it's digital. It doesn't interact the exact same way a real pedal does, so you want to put a little bit of gain in it. And what we're going to do is crank the tone all the way up and the level all the way up. That's a trick for modern metal dudes. Depending on the amp, you want to crank the tone all the way up or somewhere around there because you get more bite. Now on an EVH Stealth red channel, you don't need to do that, but on this one, you do. So let's see what we got now. All right, we're already much, much better. So let's go back to the amp. I think the gain's pretty good at 4.5. We don't want it to get too mushy. Mids are probably decent. Treble, probably fine. Let's see here. Presence, that's what I'm looking for. So let's take the presence up, give it a little more bite, see what we got. All right, we are on our way. So if you want to enhance the feel, because amps have compression, you know, and compression is a big thing with me. I love feeling that compression. So let's try adding a compressor after the distortion, which is, you know, the overdrive pedal, and because the compression's in the amp and, you know, the overdrive is before that, so I'm trying to kind of mimic that chain there. Let's see what this does. You're not going to hear a difference, but I think it's going to feel better. So yeah, no difference in the sound. It sounds, honestly, like as you get used to it, it's a little bit of a thicker sound. It's subtle, but you notice it after a while playing it. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm used to the difference. But it definitely feels a little better as well. And I didn't touch anything. I could just leave it the way it is. You know, I don't have to do anything with the compressor. I mean, yeah, dial it into your taste, but I think it's good where it's at. I think a lot of people get caught up in option paralysis with digital gear, and they sit here and play the same chord and the same riff over and over again and keep turning knobs, and I'm telling you, it's the worst thing you can do. Just, you know, get right at it, make it sound good, and move on. You know, the more you guess, the worse everything's going to sound, and your ears get fatigued, and now you're dialing things in with fatigued ears, and that's just no good, you know. So let's go ahead and let's see here. Let's try a couple different speakers. So I'm on the Cali V30 here. I like that. Let's see if we can pick something different here and make sure we're making the right choice. Hell no. Let's try. I kind of like where I'm at with this, so I'm just going to stick with this. Let me get this back onto the sweet spot here. You know what's nice about moving these mics like this too is if it's a little too bright, you don't have to do a high cut. Just scoot the mic over a little bit and find a better spot. Lucky for me, I kind of like it where it's at on the cap edge. So, all right, so moving on, let's go to, let's get some modulation in here. Modulation. Let's go with the new chorus pedal, which is the 4-voice chorus. Let's see what we got. You know what I hate is when people use chorus pedals like this. It's just way too much and it just washes out your sound and your tone is completely gone. You got this crappy, washy tone. Sounds like pure ass. All right, so let's move it around here and find a better spot. Oh boy, that is pretty washy still. Let's turn the high shelf down a bit. All right, I guess that's good enough for starters here. Okay, so let's get a delay pedal. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I choose stereo. Boom. That's why it sounded funny. I forgot to choose stereo. Again, forgive me for fumbling through some of this stuff, but it has been a while. Oh, thanks, Daryl. I appreciate that. So, spacebar. Oh, sweet. Thank you. That's a nice trick. Well, aren't you just the cat's ass? All right, let's see here. All right, let's adjust the volume. You definitely want to adjust your volume on the chorus pedal, so when you're using it, it doesn't, when you switch to it, it doesn't suck your volume down. There, balance that out. Again, thanks for the tip, Daryl. Shows how rusty I am with all this. All right, so now let's go to a stereo delay, and we can do ping pong. We can do, let's see here, where's the mod chorus echo? I kind of like this one. It's kind of fun for rhythms, and with leads you just turn off the chorus. So time for rhythms, I always keep it around 600. Seems to be a really good time for that, 600 milliseconds. And 28, I'm going to take this down, a little bit of a high cut, boop. And mix wise, oh, feedback, let's go back up to 35. Oh geez. All right, so level, keep that the same. Mix wise, probably keep it around 27, I think. Let me double check. Okay, so I take the speed down a little bit, you know, on the phaser, or the chorus that's on the delay. It's got a nice kind of phasey sound to it when you do that. Drop my pick. Get over here. Okay, so I think we are set now. We have all the basic effects that we need and the dialed in tones that we need for a good crunch. So now that I'm doing snapshots, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off, because I'm not going to use these obviously in my dry crunch deal. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. Boom. Okay, so let's save it. right, so let's see what we got. We got a good crunch tone. I turned all the effects off except for obviously the overdrive. Let's just see where we're at. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds freaking kick-ass in my ears. It really does. Let me check the OBS. Let me make sure my volume's good. 1 second here. Oh yeah, volume's good. All right. Okay, that sounds thick as hell in my ears, you know. And so let's do one more thing before we go nuts here with the rest of the presets. Let's go ahead and pan these cabs and get that delay set up nice so we got a thick double track type sound without it sounding too phasey. So let's set up the delay for what I thought was pretty cool yesterday. And let's see if we can get that today. Okay. Okay, so that sounds pretty good actually. Doing some pretty extreme settings here. Now here's the thing, I'm listening with my in-ears and things sound different with these than they do on my monitors in the room. In the room when I do some of these more extreme settings, I get this really washed out sound, which, you know, it has like hardly any low end. There's like a phasing thing that goes on. So let me just minimize this just for the sake of making sure I don't do that, because I can't, if I turn on my monitors right now, since I'm wearing a mic, it's going to go crazy with feedback. So let me just mess around with this for a second. I don't know how that sounds to you guys out there with your listening system, you know, but I just thought I'd show that. So what we can do is just go back to no delay just to make sure there's not any goofiness when I switch back to playing this through my studio monitors and stuff later. Chicago Todd, what's up, man? The Vitriol is based on the PV Invective. So that's what it's based on. And I'm using channel 3, which is the lead channel. It has more bite. Is basically what I'm doing. All right, so I think we got this set up pretty good, you know. So now let's go ahead and go to, let me make sure I save this. Save. All right, let me make sure. Okay, let's go to Snapshot 2. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn some stuff on. All right, so Snapshot 2, what we have is everything's on, which is kind of how we want it. So we have the delay and the mod on there. So that's actually a really good setting with both the delay and the mod. I think it opens things up really nice, and yeah, I think that's awesome. So we'll go ahead and rename that. That's what's nice. So before you set up your snapshot, just set up your initial preset. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but set all your effects up and make them sound amazing and dial them all in, and then mute them on your first preset, and then turn them on and off accordingly for your other snapshots. So I'm going to call this Big Crunch. Okay. Big Crunch. All right, so let's go ahead and save. Okay, so now I think we're good here. I mean, we got everything we need, you know. You want to test your chorus out with, you know, the bottom strings too, like when you're ringing out big. That's where it really matters and kind of opens things up, and yet modulation kind of thickens things up a little bit and just makes things sound a little more exciting. And that's a really good way to test it. And it makes your single notes sound a little bigger as well. Let me mute the delay real quick and show you that. So I'm going to go back over to here, and I'll show you. So I will use the space bar and I'll mute it real quick. Let me mute the mic too. So it just thickens things up, and especially in a mix, it just really enhances things a little bit. I don't use chorus all the time. I only use it on certain parts of songs where I want to enhance something, because once you use it all the time, it's not special anymore. You're not enhancing anything. Now everything's enhanced, you know? That's why you space out your pepperonis on your pizza. If there's one in every bite, it's like, it's nothing to look forward to. It all tastes like pepperoni after a while, and you don't even notice it. So you just want things spaced out and used accordingly. So that's what I would suggest. I think we're in a good spot with this. I'm just going to leave those on. So we're good to go on this. That was simple. So now let's go to Snapshot 3, which is going to be my lead snapshot. Now here, of course, I'm going to crank the gain a little bit more. And I'm going to turn off the chorus. I hate chorus on leads. I think it sounds really 80s, and it's too dated sounding. Nothing wrong with the 80s. That was my heyday, but I don't want that dated sound on my leads. Now let's make sure we're not getting too muddy with the gain here. Let's make sure. Not too bad. I think we're good on gain here. So what I want to do with this particular channel is leave the gain there. Oh, you know what? I just changed it for everything. I need to bring this back to 4.5 and then hit Alt and then move it. I forgot about that. Again, not doing this for a while. That creates the, you know, the change in the snapshot. So now let's go ahead and use the delay. We're going to hit Alt and change the time to 850, which is my magic number for solos. I love 850 milliseconds. It's like my go-to. Maybe a little more feedback. Let's go with 40. And then mix-wise, we're going to turn up the mix just a little. Probably turn it up to like 35. I think that's a good number for leads. I'll check it, of course. And it's cool that they give you the little cameras here so you know that that's a snapshot setting. And then, of course, I want the chorus off. So no modulation mode in this delay for my solos. Let's see what it sounds like now. Alright, I think we're good. Sorry about the string clack. I keep forgetting to mute the mic. Another thing that I want to do is change the gate in this particular setting because I want all the sustains. So I'm going to hit Alt, click on that, bring that back quite a bit. Hear it coming in? Yeah. Just want a little more. Alright, so let's label this. Let me turn my volume down here. Alright. Snapshot, a little lead. Boom. Alright, I think this pretty much covers everything. Let's go through the presets here. Let's double check everything, make sure it's as it should be. Well, that sounds fine. I got no issues with that. Go with the big crunch. And let's check out the lead, make sure we're good there. All right, we are, I don't know, I think we're good. It almost seemed too easy. One thing I want to do too is let's put some colors on the buttons so I can remember that. Big crunch, turquoise, lead, red. Make sure. Yep, all right, we're good there. Save that. All right, so let me read some comments real quick and then I'll go sit in the chair and play a couple mixes for you guys and go to work. So Daryl says, it sounded good here. I'm building the preset along with you. Oh, awesome. That's what I wanted. You know, I wanted you guys to build with me just to, you know, share the experience and you could tell me what your thoughts are and all that happy stuff. I mean, I'm sure that after, you know, a day or so, I might fine tune a couple little tweaks here and there, but we're good to go. And that's the thing, like, I can't emphasize enough, like, with this kind of stuff. Like, man, the worst thing you can do with any digital platform is tweak. Just build a preset, trust that it's good, maybe test it against a couple things, and then just, you got to throw away your little black book if you're going to stay married to somebody. You know, just throw it away and move on. You know, there's so many people that just the only thing they're good at is turning knobs. You know, and that's all they're good at after a while, and it's not something I want to be good at. That's one of the reasons why I suck at dialing stuff in and using software sometimes, is because I don't do that. I dial something in, I test it, and I'm testing it in my mixes and against a couple things that I have here that are real, like my amps, and then I'm done. I don't go back and start tweaking again, because I've been down that rabbit hole. And I know where it leads. It leads to nowhere. It leads to becoming a sucky guitar player that hasn't practiced properly or written anything in several months and is just frustrated with everything. And I see it all the time, and it's sad, you know. So just dial it in, and, you know, it's the old saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know. I mean, you can tweak all day, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Andrew Stone Rock says, I just made a template that I swap things in and out of. Much easier and faster than having to repopulate everything and making a new preset. Agreed, I do that as well, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to start from scratch, you know, because I wanted to show how I build things from scratch. But yeah, that is a good idea. Let's see here. Michael, what's going on? Happy Friday to you as well. Let's see here. Daryl says, did you make the chorus controlled by Snapshots, or is it off on all of them? It's controlled by Snapshots. It's only on for the Big Crunch, which is the second preset, or the second Snapshot. So Snapshot 2 is the only one with chorus, and Snapshot 2 has the modulation on the delay, but on Snapshot 3, it's off, just so you know, because I don't like delay on my solos. It just sounds like crap, you know, in my opinion. What's up, Aaron Lucas? Aaron Lucas, any chance you can compare the preset that you made to the amp itself? I actually have the amp here. It's not fired up right now. It's not even hooked up right now. But I can possibly do that in the future, you know. Yeah, so I hope that clarified that for you, Daryl. Okay, so let me run through these again real quick and make sure, and then I'm going to, when I play these, I'm going to be playing them through my studio monitor as well, my monitors, and with the mix. So it might take a minute for me to adjust the volume with my mixes, but just bear with me on that, and then we'll get that going. So 1 second here, I'll just double check, and I'll move on to the mix section. Yeah, I mean, everything's as it should be. So one thing I didn't do is adjust my volume on my solo patch. Let me do that real quick. That'll just take a second. And I only bump it just a hair because I don't really need much more. Let's just do that. Okay, so let's go back to the old crunchy crunch. And yeah, you guys will have to bear with me a second here. I just got to move everything over to the other side of my studio. So while I'm doing that, it'll only take about a minute. Let me just talk to you guys, maybe answer some questions. Oh, Flux, what's up, man? He says, so glad to catch this. Just got to the studio. I'm going to do a Helix 3.5 update now. Yeah, I made the mistake of turning mine off in the middle of the update when it gave me that error screen. And I completely, because like I said, I just don't do this very often. So I had to go through hell to get that rectified. But make sure when you see the error screen, let it sit. It's normal. It's still doing its thing. I don't know why that error screen pops up. It sucks, but that's just the way it is. Flux makes his BPMs for all the timing of the songs. Yeah, I think that's good too. But when I'm on stage, some guys do the tap tempo thing. I just don't want to worry about it, so I just kind of leave it at 850. But yeah, to each their own. You know, you can definitely do that too. That's a good idea. So let me, what do I got to grab here? Just got to grab one more thing. A couple more things actually. Got to grab my iPad because I use this to mute the mic and stuff with. We're live here, fellas. There's always a little bit of maneuvering that's got to happen when you're live, so bear with me. And then I'm actually surprised I even did this live stream because I should be getting ready for work. But that's the way it goes. Get my iPad set up. That's quick and easy. All right, so let me switch to the camera here, and we will. There we go. What's happening? Okay, so let me get this out of the way. Let me just play for a second here. Make sure I got everything the way I like it. I've been beating the piss out of this guitar, writing a new solo, and this solo is a real string snapper. So it's been interesting. Let's just test out one of my more basic mixes and see what we have here. And of course, put the charger on that thing. All right, let me mute the mic and get the studio monitors on, and we will get going here. Okay, that actually sounded really freaking good. I did notice one thing I wanted to change though, and that is the noise gate. I needed that to be a little tighter because I was hearing some feedback here and there. on both of these. All right. Oh, geez, come on. Okay, so I think that definitely helped things out, doing that. Other than that, I think the mix is good. It's weird, like I've been listening to this in my in-ears while I was dialing it in, and then I come sit here, and then I'm pulling these out, listening to the monitors. My ears got to reacclimate to the room here, but I think so far that sounded pretty good, right? Did that sound all right for you guys? So I used two snapshots. I used the dry one and then the big crunch one with the chorus and delay on it. And if you heard like on the stops, that's why I dial it in the way I do, is because with that modulated delay, it spices things up. There's no awkward empty space or awkward pauses in your music. You got this really nice modulated repeat that's coming out there and just filling in the empty space with some nice background noise, you know, and it's just really cool, you know. I really like that. There's times for the empty space, but there's also times where you want to fill it up, and that's why the first round that I did with the stop riffs, I didn't use it, and then the second one I enhanced it with the chorus and the modulated delay, and that's what I'm talking about with dynamics. You want to add dynamics to your music, and with products like the Helix, you can actually do that. You can actually produce your own show live and give people a full production regarding your guitar sound, because you're constantly throwing stuff out at the audience, and it's just nice to have those enhancements, you know, just like a studio recording, you know. And I see so many basic bitch boards out there where people just, it's like, dude, spice up your stuff. I mean, why are you just phoning it in with your effects? I mean, especially if you have like a digital platform like this, why are you not utilizing all those effects in there? I mean, yeah, don't go overboard with it, but I love going to a show and hearing those things. You know, we season our steaks, season your guitar tone. That's what you should do. You know, that's what all this stuff is for. And if you use it appropriately, I'm telling you, it's so good. And but if it's all that stuff's always on, no one notices it because it's just always there, you know. So pizza shouldn't taste like pepperoni. It should taste like pizza, and pepperoni's part of that, but it shouldn't be the only thing, you know. So let's see here, Tanner, how do you feel about the Helix now with the updates? Think it competes with the KEMPER better now? Oh, thanks, Flux. I appreciate that. Thanks, Daryl. Sounds good. All right, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think the Helix is definitely a great product. You know, I've used it for years. I used it as a standalone product for probably 4 years on stage and in the studio. Practice, all that stuff. It was my only thing. And then I started getting back into amps, and then I also used the Helix with my amps as a 4-cable method product, you know. So it's a very handy tool. It's like MacGyver's knife, you know. I mean, it just does everything. Does it compete with the KEMPER? I think the feel between the two, there's still a difference there. I'd like to see what Helix comes up with when they come out with the Helix 2. We all know it's coming. We just don't know when. And I want to see what they come up with for that, because that I think will be as a possible game changer for everybody. But I think it still competes with the KEMPER very well. You know, there's people out there that prefer the Helix. There's people out there that prefer the KEMPER. I got a friend that has went back and forth between the two, and he's a huge KEMPER fanatic. But you know, he's in a band with 2 guitar players, and he was TJ. By the way, if you're watching, TJ, shout out. And they use the Helix because for them it's just easier, because 2 guitar players can run through it at once, and it just keeps their setup and teardown so much easier for them. And space in the vehicle when they're driving, it just takes up less space, and it's easy to set up and tear down. And they're both amazing guitar players, especially TJ. The guy's a sick guitar player. He's one of the best guitar players in Michigan. And and he uses it, and he's like, I just talked to him the other day about it. He's like, dude, it's fine. I mean, it gets me through the shows. It does the job. I'm grateful I have the product. And he goes, I love my KEMPER, but he goes, I can't run 2 guitar players through it. And for us to play live, I'd have to bring 2 rigs, one for each of us. And he goes, this is just easier. And he said, I don't really feel like if I am compromising at all, I'm not compromising that much. He said, I still perform and just as well as I did with the KEMPER. So he's happy with it, you know. it really just comes down to personal taste. You know, I love my KEMPER because I can profile any one of these amps and take them with me anywhere, and I know the profiles are 100% legit, and I love them, you know, so I get to have those choices. So my life is a little different, you know, everybody's in a different situation. Let's see here. Tony, what's going on, man? He says, good day, guys. Just catching up now. Looking forward to the new Helix cabs and mics. I love my Helix. Yeah, dude, they're good. You know, it's definitely a lot better than it was. You know, that was the thing that everyone had a problem with before with the Helix, was just the stock cabs are just not good, you know. And the cabs have the most say in how your tone's going to be. So having a good cab is definitely something that comes in handy, you know. Flux, TJ rules. He does, man. He's a great guitar player. He's actually recording my solo album too, so he's also a great studio engineer. Aaron Lucas, not to be overly critical, but it's tough not to feel if Line 6 was going to cook up a sequel to the Helix. I think we would have seen it by now. It's possible, but you know, you got the whole you know, it's hard to get stuff, you know, there's a lot going on, and maybe they're just waiting for the right time. So I don't know, anything can happen. I'd like to see them come up with something soon, because the Helix still is great, you know. I don't think it's outdated at all. I think it's still a very usable product. But you know how we are, especially with the digital world. Everybody wants the next new shiny thing, so it's just the way it is. Let me see what I got here. Let's just try something simple here. Let's try this mix. Man, I'm not used to doing this with the studio monitors. You have to bear with me 1 second here. Okay, I just discovered one thing that I did not do, and that is to turn my trails on the delay. Always turn your trails on. Boom, on, save, 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 and then go back to this one. Yep, they're on. Yeah, always turn your trails on, because that was awkward when I pulled out of that little ending there and went back to the rhythm. I mean, it was like all the trails were gone. I'm like, ooh, that's speaking of awkward, that's freaking awkward. Let's try disjointed real quick. Let's see how this mix sounds. So make sure I do this in the right order, or else we're gonna get Feedback City. Yeah, that was nice, man. So during the certain parts, I would use different effects. So like for the main part, in the beginning, I used just the dry crunch. But when it came to all the goofy stuff I was doing with the harmonics, I switched to Snapshot 2, and you can hear the chorus, and it was nice on the harmonics. They just pinged differently. They had this different kind of, you know, modulation on the ping, and it was really cool to hear. And then when I ended it, I switched back to you know, to the big crunch again. So when I ended the song, you had that nice, you know, modulated delay repeats going out. And it's just, again, it's just a nice little touch on the end of a song to be able to do that. And I just love how that sounds. So if you haven't used the modulated delay, I suggest that you do. I mean, it really is a cool, really cool feature on that. And I don't hear people doing it very much. So let's see here. Brett Murphy, what's going on, man? Here for a few before I head back to work. Love the new Git Fiddle, brother. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's my Kiesel Aries. Yeah, she's a sexy girl, isn't she? I love her. And here's her backside. Yeah. She looks good coming and going. Let's see here. Yeah, Flux says, I'm getting the boot error message on the 3.5. I'm not worried. Just follow the directions. Exactly. That's what I did wrong. I skipped over that because I was on the phone when I was doing this and I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, oh, well, and I flipped it off. I'm like, oh, no, and I had to, it was, I don't even want to go into what I had to go through, but whatever you do, keep it going. Do not stop it. Guitar Man 45. I use the Helix. It has 4 effects loops. You can run 4 cable, can switch between few amps, and also Synergy mods. Exactly. I used it with my Synergy modules as well. I just think it's a great MacGyver knife to keep around. It really is. You know, I can't see myself selling it because there's going to come a day when I want to hook it up to an amp again or do a video like this with the updates, and there's just all kinds of things you can do with it. You know, it's just such a great product. Andrew Stonerock says, Jared, you used to say that the Helix wasn't meant for an all-in-one solution, like it wasn't supposed to replace your entire rig. Do you think this update brings it closer to replacing it all? Great question. In fact, Eric Klein himself said that. Eric Klein, I've interviewed him before, and he's a great guy, very smart guy. And he said, we never intended for the Helix to replace your gear. We just intended for you to use it with your gear. And so, all right, so this brings up an interesting topic, and I've been wanting to do a video about this for a while, but I'll just freaking say it right here, because I think that what happens is digital products come out and people start getting like stars in their eyes, and you know, and they're like, you know, kind of like when a girl first meets you and she's like, we're gonna get married and have 28 kids and live in a mansion, you know, and you're just like, oh my God, stop, you know. And what happens is we get that with our gear. We freaking, you know, we get this thing and we're like, oh, it's amazing, I don't need an amp anymore, and we just get all freaking crazy about it, and then we're using stuff beyond what it was meant to be used for, and then we're wondering why people are looking at us going, bro, like that's, you know, it's like taking your Corvette out trailblazing. I mean, you can't do that, you know. I'm not saying you can't take the Helix with you to a concert and play. You can, but it was never meant to replace your gear. I'm telling you guys something right now, like, nothing's ever going to replace these amplifiers. You know, it just isn't. Like, it's like a classic car. I used to have one, a 69 Camaro Rally Sport with a, you know, big old freaking engine in it, and the thing had, you know, dumpers in it. You freaking open those dumpers up and race somebody, you're creating potholes going down the road. I mean, that thing was nasty, and nothing's ever going to replace that loud, amazing car that handles like crap, but it just sounds and feels amazing. It throws you in the back seat every time you put it to the floor. There's just something amazing about that. You know, there really is. You know, only I knew how to start it the way it needed to be started. You know, I mean, it's like a tube amp. They're just different, you know. That rumble, the report of the engine, just all that, the feel, the sound, the different nights where it's cool out and you're sitting at a red light and you got to put on the, you know, put your foot on the brake a little harder because your car's like surging. It just has a different attitude when the air is cold. I mean, there's all those little things that happen, and it's great. And nothing digital is ever going to replace that. Now, you know, can you get a car that might be faster? I mean, yeah, the Teslas are faster than a lot of the classic cars, but they don't make any sound. You miss all that sound, and you miss the quirks and all the things that are amazing about your classic car. They're just two different things. You know, they're both going to get you from point A to point B, but they're going to do it in different ways. You know, so it just depends on what you like. I miss my car, you know, and a Tesla is not going to replace a classic Camaro. Will it still do a lot of the same stuff? Yeah, but there's just differences between them. There's a different character between those two products. It's the same thing with the digital product and an amplifier. They're just different. So what would I take on stage? I mean, would I take one of my studio queens on stage? No, not in this crappy area, not in this crappy scene that we're in here. I mean, it's a garbage scene. Why would I take a $3,000 amp and play at some crap hole with 12 people there, you know, so I can get my amp all dinged up or possibly stolen, tipped over, beer spilled on it, whatever. Or I can just profile that amp or take a product like the Helix to that same gig and not have to work so hard and worry so much about all of my gear getting damaged or just lugging it in and out and up the stairs, down the stairs, all the stuff, the setup, the teardown, you know, all that stuff. Like, I just want to plop something on the floor, do my show in front of 12 people, and then wrap up my stuff and leave. You know, why would I want to go through all that effort to play in front of nobody? So, you know, so that's what I would do. I would just bring a digital platform, and it has to sound good. I mean, it has to sound good. It has to be a good representation of what, you know, what I am as a guitar player and what my gear is and what my music is. But that's what I would use live. But it doesn't mean it replaced, you know, my amplifier. It just means that it gives me an opportunity to leave my amp at home so it doesn't get damaged or other things, or just make it easier on me because I'm going out and playing some crap hole gig in front of 12 people. Why would I want to go through all that just to play there, you know? So it just keeps it easier for you. It just makes sure that you dial things in properly, and as long as you do that, I think you're going to be fine. Like, honestly, if I was to play a gig tomorrow, I would just go, well, what amp do I would probably just profile my Red 7, and I do have profiles of those, of that amp, and they're amazing, and I would just take that with me and maybe profile my clean channel on my Diesel Herbert, and now I got the best of both worlds in it, and I just plop it on the floor and go. Or take the Helix. So does it come closer to, you know, replacing amps? I don't think it ever will. I think that it just sounds better, but I don't think you should ever sell all your amps and get a digital platform and just never look back, because I've said this a million times, you can't paint trees while you're living on the moon. There's no trees up there to remind you what they look like, so your paintings are going to get worse and worse and worse and farther away from what trees really look like because you haven't seen one in a long time. You should always keep amps around, or at least one or two around, so they can keep you grounded, so when you're dialing in your tones, you have something real to, you know, base your tones off of, so that make sure that you don't get too far out of the wheelhouse. I did that. I'm guilty of doing that, and I got to the point where my tones were so fake sounding that I was like, I would play an amp and I'd be like, I thought there was something wrong with the amp. I had to reacclimate my hands and ears to an amplifier, and then I was like, wait a minute, this is real, the amp is real, whatever I'm playing through right now, digital-wise, is not, and I have to find a way to make this sound better than the amp. So always keep an amp around to compare things to, and that's what's going to help you stay grounded with your sounds, you know. Hopefully that answered your question. Daryl, sounds amazing. Awesome. I appreciate that. If I had just walked in, I'd be wondering which amp you were playing if they were lit up. Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds amazing too. I really do. It sounds really good. I'm happy with it. Jacob Allen, what's going on, man? How's the Kiesel? He says, it's good. I have to do some minor adjustments to it because I'm still getting that little spike in the sound. I think somehow the piezo preamp is letting some sound into my regular pickup, so I gotta figure that out. I gotta do some troubleshooting this weekend and figure that out. But it sounds good. I love this guitar. Just having a minor issue, but I'll get it taken care of. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, Tony, did you get the Kiesel chirp sorted out? Not yet. In fact, I heard it a few times when I was doing the dial-in earlier, and it's subtle, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. But yeah, I will be getting that fixed soon. Let's see here. Andrew says, it's me, I'm people. I got rid of my tube amps and cabs in favor of the Helix. I went down the FRFR rabbit hole. I've since gone back to using a power amp and cab. To be honest, my back has been much happier. Yeah, I hear you, man. The band went ampless when I was on hiatus as well, so I already had to leg up when I came back earlier this year. Yeah. I mean, I prefer, like I said, I mean, again, if I was to play out live, I would use one of these digital platforms. I would never bring an amp to a gig anymore unless I did it for me. And it's just something I wanted to do but the thing is, like I said, when we used to go to gigs, we would show up at 5:30 for load-in time and put all your gear somewhere and stage it for later and then go out to dinner. Well, do you think I'm going to leave, like, you know, a diesel Herbert or even an EVH EL34-100 and a cab and all that stuff at a venue while I'm eating dinner and come back and it's stolen by some freaking scumbag? I mean, I'm not going to do that. You know, I mean, it's just not worth it to me. It's just not. So I would just bring, you know, the KEMPER. And the nice thing with, or the KEMPER or the Helix, the nice thing about that is I can leave it in my car until I'm ready to go on stage, because it's not like I need to stage that. It's just a puny little board, you know. I don't need to stage that. So, Brent Murphy, plus half those venues are too small and should you open up an amp. Silent stage is in a small, yeah, it's nice to have a silent stage. A lot of sound guys prefer a silent stage now because they don't have to fight with your stage volume anymore. So there was this transition period where people started showing up with digital stuff, and you could see the look on sound guys' face, like, what are you doing with that toy? Now they're actually looking forward to it. They're like, oh, you got one of those? Okay, here, plug, done. You know, they don't have to fight with you over volume, and especially if you're using in-ears. They're just like, oh, sweet. All I have to do is worry about front of house. I don't have to worry about what you need. You know, it's great. So they actually like it. Flux is a Helix 3.5 is rebuilding presets. Awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, you're gonna love it, man. It's a killer freaking update. It really is. I think it's one of the best ones they've done so far. And it's been a long time coming. Yeah, I'm tempted to play this new song I've been working on, but I suck at it right now. I'm not real tight with it, but it'd be fun to try it out in this setting. I think I could probably do it. Let me just riff a few minutes here on this and see if I can build up the nerve. 1 second.
Well, it was a bit of a sloppy mess, but I got it out of my system. Yeah, this preset sounds really good. I like the snapshots I created. I mean, it was really easy to do. I mean, if I didn't have to do all the talking and whatever while I was doing it, I probably could have created this whole thing in less than 10 minutes, easily, you know, and I think it sounds good. I mean, the new cabs sound much better. They don't have that weird honk to them like the old ones did. They sound more natural. The top end is a bit more natural. I'm going to do some comparisons with the new cabs versus the old ones, and new cabs versus impulse responses that I like, and just see, you know, just see what the differences are. So I'll be on for a couple more minutes. I'm going to read a couple more comments, and I got to get my ass to work. Let's see, Flux, I played my diesel VH4 at a local bar last Saturday. It sounded amazing. No problems, no beer poured on it. The amp was 4 feet behind me, but it would be nice to have a KEMPER with profiles in it. No, I agree. You know, I really do. Like, I would be scared to death bringing an expensive amp to a venue nowadays, you know, especially with all the dirtbags running around nowadays, man. I saw some guy walking around my amp, I'd probably freaking, like, what are you doing? Get away. You know, I just can't deal with that. And I can't believe how many years I actually did that. I would bring all my gear to a venue and go out to eat and come back, and the whole time I'm at dinner, I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I got 4 Ernie Ball Music Man guitars sitting there. That's over $12,000 worth of guitars just sitting there. And it's just crazy. You know, so yeah, I totally get why people use the digital stuff. It's you know, it saves you money, saves you space, saves you time, and as long as it sounds good, I mean, that's what these are for. Leave your amps at home, take a digital platform to a gig. As long as you have it dialed in right, you should have no issues. So it's, yeah, I mean, that diesel's like $5,000, isn't it? I mean, dude, I mean, kudos for bringing that to a gig, but oh my God, I'd be freaked out the whole time, because, you know, some people are, you know. Some people just aren't careful. I had a brand new Ernie Ball Music Man JP15 at my first show I took it to in Ohio, and some piece of garbage put a big gouge in it with a keyboard stand that he just threw on the floor in front of it while I was using the bathroom. And I came back, I saw this keyboard stand laying in shambles in front of my guitar, and I had that green stomach instantly. I'm like, oh, that does not look like it. It looked like it fell out of a plane. And I'm like, whoever this piece of shit is that put this here, you know,
he didn't do it with any care at all, and sure enough, I picked up my guitar and there's a big gouge out the top here. And I'm like, you dirtbag. And I didn't know who it was. I went over to the table of the band, and they're all like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, same thing. They probably saw the steam coming out of my ears and didn't want to be on the other end of that. But, yeah, then I had to go on stage 5 minutes after that and play a show. So, yeah, you can't take anything nice anywhere anymore. There's always some piece of garbage that wants to screw it up, you know. It's just the way it is, you know. But... you know, that's why, like I said, I highly suggest, you know, taking digital gear to any kind of show, especially local ones in my area. I don't trust the scene at all anymore. So glad I don't play around here that much anymore. But anyways, well, if there's any other questions, I got about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to get off here and get something to eat, and then I got to head off to work. I got to go spray some trucks down. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. You know, I enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed getting used to the software again. I mean, it was really easy to do, really simple and intuitive. And yeah, so if you haven't updated, it's definitely worth updating. You know how some updates, you know, I'm not saying all the Helix updates aren't, you know, good or whatever. A lot of them are very good, but some of them you're just not interested. You know, you're like, oh, I'll get to it. This one's worth it for sure. I would rush to the computer and update the Helix for this one because the new amp, the new cabs, the overdrive pedal's cool, and the chorus pedal's nice too. So you got 4 good reasons to do that right there. And the cabs take up way less DSP. So now you got more DSP for other things. So that's nice too. So I do like that a lot. Let's see here. Flux says, if you know the stage creates a barrier between your gear and the crowd, then bring your amp. If you don't know, or there's a crowd all around you, then a Helix or a KEMPER is nice. No, I agree. I agree. I'm not worried about the people so much as the other bands sometimes. You never know, man. Some of these guys are looking for an opportunity to steal your stuff, so you never freaking know. Michael says, that was informative. Thanks. No, you're welcome, man. Thanks again, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here and you haven't subscribed, please do. And click the bell so that you can be notified anytime I come out with new episodes. And please give this video a like. It does help the algorithm. It doesn't cost you anything but a second. Just boop, hit the like button. Definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. And share this. Share this, and if there's anybody in the Line 6 Helix group, please share this. I would really appreciate that. See, when I share videos, it doesn't have any weight, you know, but when other people share it, it has more weight, and it really helps me out. So if you could share it in any of your groups that you're in, I would really appreciate that, because like I said, when I do it, then the mods just look at me like I'm a spammer. Oh, you're spamming us with your videos. No, I'm just trying to help you out. But, you know, when other people do it, it's perfectly fine. So if anybody here can share it, I would appreciate it. All right, guys, well, I am going to get the hell out of here. I got to go work. So, again, thanks so much for joining me. I very much appreciate it, and I'll be doing some more videos about this very soon and other things, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys. Have a great evening.